I think your mindset is everything. So instead of, I couldn't ever do that, I can't do that. Because if you think like that, you're right. You're not going to be able to. But if you can change your mindset and say, I would like to XYZ, how can I do that? Then your mind opens up to opportunities. You see different things that you haven't seen before. It's literally a mindset change.
Welcome to the Next Level Women podcast, where powerhouse women break limits, claim their worth, and rise beyond good enough. I'm Jennifer Perri, a transformational coach, best-selling author, and fierce advocate for women reclaiming their power. After overcoming adversity from an abusive marriage to Guillain-Barré syndrome, I've made it my mission to help women rise above limiting beliefs, unlock their genius, and create lives of freedom, ease, and fulfillment. Each week, I sit down with 6- and 7-figure female entrepreneurs, executives, and visionaries who are rewriting the rules of success, building lasting impact, and owning their brilliance. Together, we'll share strategies, breakthroughs, and unfiltered conversations designed to inspire your clarity, confidence, and next level power. This isn't just another business podcast. It's where transformation meets legacy and where unstoppable women rise. Welcome to the Next Level Women podcast. Welcome to the Next Level Women podcast, where women stop waiting and start choosing what's next. I'm your host, Jennifer Perri. I'm a reinvention strategist and certified divorce coach, a mindset and money mentor, and CEO of Shiro Life and Empowerment Coaching. Each week, I sit down with amazing women who are redefining success and building lives on their terms. Our guest today is Jen McAllister. How are you, Jen?
Doing great. Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you here. And we're going to talk money, we're going to talk numbers, we're going to talk finance, which I love because that's where I spent like 2 decades of my life. And every single time I come on, I give the podcast a theme. So yours today is going to be the numbers no, building wealth, confidence, and identity as a woman in business. But I'm going to brag on you for a second. So you just have
All
to
right.
bear with me and deal with it. Jen is the founder and CFO of Rise CPA and Accountants LLC, where she helps business owners gain clarity, confidence, and control over their finances. Through fractional accounting services, financial strategy, and business guidance, she supports entrepreneurs in making informed decisions that fuel sustainable growth. Jen focuses on helping business owners move beyond simple tracking numbers and into using financial data as a leadership tool for building stronger businesses. So again, welcome. And why don't we just get started with telling everybody a little bit more about yourself, where you're joining us from, just to kick things off.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm joining from Mapleton, Utah, and I'm just going to jump into something that you said that really struck me. You're helping women reinvent themselves, and that really describes my story. And so I'm just going to jump right into why I have the business that I have right now. So I've always been an accountant, thanks to a really, I'm going to say nerdy in the best way, nerdy high school teacher who just geeked out over accounting. And so I kind of caught the bug, and it sounded like a really good practical career to have, to be a mother and an accountant. So it's been my whole life, and I haven't regretted it. So as my family grew, I wanted to become a CPA so I could make the same amount of money but work less. And that led me on this path to where, before I started my business, so we're talking about 9 years ago, I began in this corporation. And I was the original OG. There was a CFO working with me, but I grew an accounting company, or sorry, an accounting division to 18. And most of those 18 I handpicked and nurtured and developed. And I loved doing that. So I was really proud of this team. And as we grew, we got to the point where one day I got a phone call, and this meeting would have been a normal meeting, but HR hopped on and they said, "You don't have a job anymore." And I was entirely blindsided, because the whole 5 years I had been growing this team, and they recognized it. So they offered me $150,000 when they went public. So I was working these 10, 12-hour days thinking that I was irreplaceable, and that, what most people think in corporate before they actually see the other side of it. And so this came as a complete and utter surprise, as well as losing that 150 in the moment they said, and you don't have a job here anymore. It felt very much like a boys' club. And as that boys' club grew, and they didn't need me, and they outsourced to, I think, the Philippines. So here I am, this Thursday, August 25th, 2022. You kind of remember days like
Yeah.
that. And I reached out to a lawyer, and they said, yes, you have a wrongful termination cause case, but they're hard to win and they take a long time. So in that moment, I decided that I wasn't going to waste my limited resource, meaning time. I'm not going to waste that chasing after something negative. Sometimes that's important, but in this case, it wasn't for me. And so the next morning, I woke up and I knew the name of the company would be Rise. And that would be rising from my circumstances. I would be helping my future team rise, and I would be helping my clients rise, and as well as the community. So that reinvention, that's where it happened, where I took something unexpected and I decided, well, let me create what I want. I want to create my own culture, my own loyalties, and just something entirely different than I just got let go from. And three of those women who I worked with, they asked me if they could join the company as soon as I had enough clients. So the trust that they had in me, never being a business owner, to be able to quit their full-time jobs, it was incredible. And so I got started on the right foot with all that faith behind me. But yeah, that was the beginning of my reinvention story.
My goodness, and that was only what, not even 4 years ago.
Correct. We're almost to the 4 year mark in August.
That's amazing. Yeah, and you could have gone a very different way. I think we had talked about that at the very when we first met. You
Yes,
could have
yes.
spent time chasing that. But you're right. Why use that negative energy to fuel that? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just switch it over to positive and build something and rise up from that. So, but 4 years ago, when you think back to that, it was a short period of time, but I would imagine that that Jen is different from the Jen who sits here today. I'm sure
Oh,
that there's,
absolutely.
so how has that changed? How have you changed in that perspective?
I think that I've been more vocal and more confident. I mean, the life experiences, they can definitely create more confidence. And how I've been able to encourage, empower, uplift other women and other business owners, men, women alike, the way that I've been able to do that allows me to just spread that further and further. It's like my driving desire. The reasons behind wanting to grow and grow and grow is to duplicate and then triplicate what is already working so well. To be able to see the women and a couple of men that work for Rise, to see how they have grown and excel, that's the payment right there.
And I love that you have a primarily women, like all women team. I just love that because I think that when I know, especially when I have referred clients out to working with a CPA and sitting down and talking about tax strategies and things like that, they have gone through a major life shift in primarily divorce, or they lost their job, or somebody passed away. And I think in that moment, not saying that there aren't men who can handle that relationship, but I've just seen with my own clientele over the past almost 30 years just gravitate towards women,
Hmm.
and I think too, being able to formulate and ask questions when you're surrounded by other women, you don't feel like you're going to ask a dumb question or you're going to say something that's not right or that you don't understand it. And I saw that in the dynamic of the financial firm that I worked with, and it was my ex-husband. He would not talk to the woman. He was
Mm,
always having a conversation with the man, and I'm thinking at some point, statistically, she's going to have to make all the decisions,
yeah.
and we have to make sure that she feels comfortable with what she's doing. And we all carry money stories. We all carry them, no matter where
Yeah.
they came from, a partner, family, whatever else. And we've all picked them up along the way. What beliefs, being in a money field, did you have to personally unlearn? And the ones that you kind of see showing up in the stories of other women as you work with them?
Yeah, my money story, I guess, is growing up. I wouldn't say poor, but really tight. You know, I really learned how to stretch my $20 a month allowance to the maximum. And so money was scarce. And that's the mentality, scarcity with money that I have grown up with. And now in some senses it's been great because again, I know how to budget really well. I know how to stretch a dollar, stay out of debt. My parents were very good at teaching those types of skills, but it also had me believe that wanting more was greedy or not a
Mhm.
good thing to where just make the amount of money that you need and then be happy with that. Don't be greedy. But that has shifted, and it's always, when it's deep rooted in you, it always is kind of there. So I have to remind myself often that my drive to grow and make more money and make more and more and more money is that I know I can help more people when I make more money. It's not about buying a bougie yacht or a bigger home.
Right.
It is the ability to, I mean, let's be honest, it's about having a good lifestyle, a
Mhm.
flexible lifestyle for sure, and being able to take care of my own family and children. But I want to be able to help an endless amount of people. So that's well, shall we say, a righteous desire for more and more money.
Yeah. Right. And I have a mug that says billionaire in the making. And somebody had stopped me when I was doing something and I was drinking out of it. And they said, "Why do you want to be a billionaire? Like, I can't." And I said, "Wait a second." I said, "Why wouldn't I want to challenge myself to succeed as best and as most as I can? Because money gives you options and it gives you the ability to pour into other people, just like you said.
Hmm.
It's not the
Yeah,
things. We can't take the things, right? But when I
right.
leave this earth, I want people to remember what I stood for and the people that I wanted to help. So I'm right there with you in that
Yeah.
whole thing. I am just right there. And I think for women, there are a lot of things we either learn them from, in my house, it was, we just didn't talk about money. My parents
Hmm.
didn't talk about how much money they made. They didn't talk about how much they spent. It was a very taboo kind of thing. So I had to kind of sort it out myself. And then in
Yeah.
my situation, got slammed right into trying to sort it out. So I do believe that you can overcome it, but there's always that little thing that's just deep rooted in there that you'll go back to every once in a while just to revisit it, not stay there,
Right, right.
but revisit
And
it,
yeah,
you
and then
know.
say, nope, that's not true.
Right, exactly right. Now, I'm sure you've worked with a lot of women business owners. And is there a pattern that you keep seeing over and over again when a woman feels a specific way about her finances that it shows up in her business overall? Do you find that she's more conservative or she doesn't really step out there in faith? Is there a connection that you
You
see
know,
between that?
if I'm being really honest, I would like to work with more women to empower them. I don't know what it is, but most of my clients are men. And I don't mind. And I actually think it's a good thing. And also going back to something that you said, where men will typically look to another man for answers. But what this is teaching me and my female-led team is we're giving the answers to these men
Hmm.
and they're looking to us for those answers. So I don't mind at all working for, men in business. I always also remind my team that if there is any disrespect ever, you let me know and we don't have to have that client. And to be honest, I don't think that's happened once. That's happened
Hmm.
once. But yeah, definitely we will protect our respect and we get that. And so, I don't mind working for male owners. It allows them to see women in power. Would love to have more women that I help so that I can continue to empower them in their own roles.
And it's funny that you say that because when I was doing consulting, there would be men that would come in, and I was married to, somebody who was in the business with me, and he was certain that they were going to work with him and they wanted to work more with me because they felt that women had like the sixth sense or we were
Mhm.
more in tune with what was going on with the market or we were going to be a little bit more conservative and protective instead of just walking out, running to the bridge and hoping that it appears under your feet. So I always thought that was interesting. I mean, I did, and to the respect part of it as well. Like you're right, you just can't allow somebody to come in there and disrespect that thing, the way
Yeah.
that they're interacting with their team. Um,
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was also going to say, adding two men to the team, I was, hesitant because I want this to be a female-led team, but it's really become really a beautiful thing because it's not just, and it's my husband and it's one other gentleman, and they both came on slowly, but it's added the respect to women in
Mm.
leadership. The way that they respect us, and we absolutely respect them in return, I think it's really just added another layer that I didn't expect, and I really love that.
And I also think too that when they come in and it's a predominantly female team, it's almost like when you have the two guys and they've received like the blessing or the anointing of, hey, no, these men know how to interact with you and how to be there and be of service and show up and respect. And so I think that's a great approach. I don't have any problems. I will have men that reach out to me all the time, even though I say coach for women. They'll be like,
Uh-huh.
"Hey, do you happen to work with men, or can you coach a couple, or can you help?" And I do have a couple clients, but it's very limited. But you will
Yeah.
have people that reach out just because they think that as women, I don't know, we are more in tune with some of that
Yeah.
stuff.
And I think there's a layer of warmth and listening. And not that a man can't be warm and listen well, but it's just that general nature of women to be warm and to listen. And that makes a big difference.
Oh, it sure does. And I notice too, sometimes it's like the male ego, where if you have a man trying to tell another man something that he thinks he knows about his finances or isn't very open-minded to something, it's kind of sometimes you can, as a woman, soften a little bit of the conversation. So, but now
Yeah.
being your own boss, like what has that taught you about leading yourself during times of uncertainty or times where you feel like you don't have all the answers?
Well, I always I don't know how the quote goes, or maybe it's more of a concept, but as the leader of a company, you do not have to be the smartest, and you probably should not be the smartest. So I don't have an ego. I never act like I know all of the answers, but I surround myself with really great people, the great people on my team, but also I'm resourceful and I have great colleagues that I can reach out to and say, can you help me? I've got a question here, because it just doesn't do any good to pretend like you know all of the answers. Just knowing great people really makes a big difference.
It does, and you'll be able to be that resource that people kind of come to and say, I think for me, when somebody asks me a question that I don't know the answer to, just being honest, but also
Hmm.
getting them to the person like you do who will have
Hmm.
that answer is so important. If I know, you'd like to work with more women, but in the women that you work with, if you could kind of like wave a magic wand and stop entrepreneurs from making one financial mistake, just one that you see that just is a common thing over and over again, what would it be?
Well, I'd probably say start with a budget. That would be one thing because I just see so many people just like run. Like let's try to like throw money at everything and hope that the revenues come in, but not sticking to a budget. And a flexible budget, meaning if you're putting money to something and it's not working, well, then you don't have to keep spending. But if you're putting it toward another avenue and it is working, then spend a little bit more there. But yeah, definitely a budget. Also, keeping business and personal separate. That's probably one of the number one things that I
That's
run
hard.
into. And I'll just say, okay, we're going to stop that immediately. Let's unravel the business and personal because I'm all about efficiencies and clarity. And that just gets muddy and like, oh, yeah, I've got to go through my personal bank statement and see what the company needs to reimburse me for. And it's just an extra layer of stress. So, right out of the gate, separate business and personal and create a budget.
Every time I use that word budget, people just go.
Like,
So I've had to try to turn it into, especially dealing with women, it's like, well, we're going to create a lifestyle plan. Because if you
oh,
don't manage your money's going to manage you, no matter.
mhm.
And I tell people that all of the time. So I
Yeah.
know budgeting isn't like this sexy, fun thing to do, but once you kind of get a handle on it, and you know exactly what's going in and coming in and going out. It does make the world a difference, you
Yeah. And
know?
I love to be able to take those icky words like a budget and help someone and say, hey, look, let me help you. It's really easy. Let me show you. And then that, like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing feeling dissipates. And to just be able to have someone on your side and telling you that it's really not that bad. That's what I
Right.
love to do. Again, back to the empowering. And on that note as well, whether it's a man or a woman, right off right out of the gate, I'll say there are no dumb questions. I'm here to make you look good. So you ask me all the questions so that when you're in front of other people, then you feel more confident. But don't like there are no dumb questions. And I love that, especially when they do start to ask basic questions. I love to just be that safe place.
Well, and I think too that I think in the day and age when anytime you log on, there's always a different, auto robot, robo advisor kind of thing, or this now is an opportunity to invest. There seems to be so many different ways that you could kind of wade into the world of investing and understanding your numbers and things like that. But when you sit down and you start talking about simplified, let's talk about your budget, let's talk about this, let's talk about that. It's amazing how much of it is just so basic.
Hmm.
And if you start in that conversation and you start equipping people with the right questions to ask and allowing them to kind of challenge you if they don't understand something, and I think that changes the dynamic of everything because you hopefully, I know for me, I want my clients to be a part of my life and my
Hmm.
business and for a long time. You know what I
Right.
mean? So you want to build that safety and that space for them. What about you? We talked a lot about Rise, but what are you personally kind of growing into right now? What are you super excited about in your personal life? And then we could talk about the business too, but what is Jen
Yeah.
excited about?
Different things. I mean, personally, like totally business aside, it's travel. I love to I love to live. I want to live fully. And that can look like something different to everybody. But to me, that means, in the stage of life that I am, to be able to travel and it just opens your eyes to different cultures and questions. And it's a beautiful thing. So yeah, definitely traveling is what excites me right now. And I love to um, teach my kids how to do the same thing. For example, there will be times where I'll say, "Hey, we're going to Prague. This, if whoever wants to buy their own ticket, then that's the buy-in, that's the skin in the game, and then we'll subsidize a lot of the rest. But it's like a stepping stone for my kids, and I would say that to anybody, friends, neighbors, like, oh, I wish I could. And I'll be like, you can. Trust me, you can. Here's the first step. And you just break it down into steps. So I love to teach my kids that they can have the same lifestyle or in increments. They can't just travel all year and forget about real life. But yeah,
Right.
traveling really excites me. And traveling can also be a 3-hour trip down south. It doesn't
Mhm.
have to be to an exotic place. It's again, just living life.
And how about the business? What are you excited about at Rise?
I'm excited about the legacy. We're building a building in
Nice.
Mapleton, which is where I'm from, and that means something to me. We're here forever. Rise, the message, the everything behind the name, we're here forever. And that will morph over time. You don't know everything right now. And that ability to flow and be flexible with the growth of something is beautiful, but rise, it'll always be. And, again, the legacy to be able to take this model of empowering in a different way, in a warm and more of a mentor teacher empowering. I know I say that word so many times, it's my favorite because I truly mean it. And really being able to expand that to more and more and more women. And I've got to tell you a little, it seems like a small story, but it feels a lot bigger to me. So first of all, I'm talking about reaching more and more women. But what about the women's children? Because that's the next layer, that's the next generation of women. So, there's a couple of examples, but one is one woman that I work with, her daughter's in high school, and she has a math teacher, and that math teacher said, "I want to work for Rise." And it was this big question mark, like, well, how in the world did your math teacher at high school even know about Rise? And that's where the seemingly tiny thing is big, which is this high school girl sees how happy and fulfilled her mother is in this role, that she sees it and she senses it and she brags about it and at high school. And that just makes me so happy to see that it's going to be generational.
That's awesome. And to be able to build, now you're building where you're actually from,
Mhm.
where you were born,
Yes.
grew up. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That is
not
awesome.
born, but have lived for
Okay.
the last 20 years. I'll be
That's
here
awesome.
until I die.
Right. Well, I know the decision for you was made 4 years ago in the direction that again, you could have kind of stayed stuck, but you chose to rise and create what you did. There's a woman that's watching this and she kind of is feeling that she's not standing in her calling or she's not feeling fulfilled. What bit of advice could you give her in that moment?
I think your mindset is everything. If you can open your mind to, so instead of, I couldn't ever do that, I can't do that. Because if you think like that, you're right. You're not going to be able to. But if you can change your mindset and say, I would like to XYZ, how can I do that? Then your mind opens up to opportunities. You see different things that you haven't seen before, and you'll catch on to things and you'll hear and you'll go, oh, that could be a first step. So, in short, it's literally a mindset change.
I love that. I'm all about mindset. You can't see it. I have a thing every says mindset is everything. So you
It
said that.
is.
I
It
wanted to be like,
truly is.
oh, yeah. Well, we get ready to wrap up today. Tell me, what is the best way for people to reach out to you? And does Rise service nationwide, or are you in
Yes,
specific areas?
Rise is nationwide,
Perfect.
definitely. Some different ways to reach out to me. One is the website because there's multiple ways. There's phone number, email. The website address is riseaccountingllc.com. Unfortunately, you don't always get your very number one pick on the URL for a website. So, although it is Rise Accounting LLC, the name of my business is Rise CPA and Accountants. And so that's how you can find me on LinkedIn. Rise CPA and Accountants. Also, you can find me, which links to my business LinkedIn, and that is Jen McAllister.
I have thoroughly enjoyed talking to you. I think one of the things when we first talked was your energy and your passion for what you do, and I love that. And you're exactly what when I think of women kind of standing in their power and just going full force, like that's exactly what I think about when you and I are talking. So I really have enjoyed getting an opportunity to meet you and to spend this time with you. So as we get ready to wrap up today, I just want to thank you, Jen, for being here. And I also want to remind everybody who is watching that the woman that you're becoming is built in the decisions that you make today. And until we meet again, keep doing the work, keep choosing yourself, and keep rising into the life that's calling you. I will be here every step of the way, guiding you to your next level. See you guys next time. Thanks again, Jen.
Bye. Thank you, Jennifer.